So I haven't done a video in a while, but today I decided to do just a little short video really quick. So in 2020, when I first started evangelizing and when I first started my ministry, I made the decision that I would be very transparent and that I would, share my testimonies with people. And so, when I come on these different social media platforms, I try to be very transparent and, authentic and honest. And so I've been dealing with a lot lately, and not gonna say, what it is that I'm going through, but it is very burdensome, if that's even a word. And I'm trying to, keep it together. I'm trying not to get discouraged. I'm trying not to feel defeated, and I'm trying not to get into a mode of depression, because for those of you who may not know, I used to suffer with depression and anxiety most of my adolescent years and all of my adult years until the age of 33. And so I'm 38 now. I'll be 39 in August. But I said that to say that I try not to let what's going on in my life dictate the way I treat people, or I try not to let it interfere with my my work performance and the way I treat people at work. And that's why it's so bothersome to me when people look at me and they project their preconceived notions onto me, or when they project their insecurities onto me just because I look a certain way, or just because I dress a certain way, or just because I carry myself a certain way. And in our humanness, in our human minds, I think that we all have a tendency to think or to believe that just because we see a person and they're very pretty, or they're very handsome, or they have a really good job, they live in a really nice neighborhood, or they dress really nice with maybe designer clothes, different things like that. I think when we first see a person and they look the part, they dress well, they speak well, they articulate and things like that, in our humanness we tend to see, okay, oh, this person got it all together. This person ain't never been through nothing. This person is not going through nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so I said that to say that I think that we're all guilty of, when we see a person and they look like they have it all together in life, in our mind at first glance, or when we first meet a person, we may not mean to, but I think that we all think that, okay, this person not going through nothing. I ain't never been through nothing. Or if they have been through something, they ain't going through it now because they look like this, they dress like this, they drive this kind of car. Okay, so they got it all together. And we may not mean to do that, or we may not mean to think that, but I think that we do it subconsciously. I don't think that it's intentional. I think we just kind of do it or think it subconsciously. And I'm just saying, like, when at first glance, when you first meet someone, like, for example, I went to the bank yesterday, and the lady, she was a black lady, and she was dressed nice. She was okay in the looks department, but she was dressed nice, had a good job. Her office was decorated really nice and stuff. And so in my human mind, I thought to myself, okay, this lady is very professional. She's dressed nice. Office is decorated nice. And so in my humanness, I'm thinking like, okay, she got it all together. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we have a tendency to think that when we first, come into contact with people, and like I said, we may not mean to, but I think we do it unintentionally. Some of us, I think we do it subconsciously. But the difference between me thinking that about someone is I don't let the way that they're dressed, or if they're articulate or whatever, I don't let that detour me from treating them the same as everybody else, if that makes sense. Like, when I meet a person, regardless of how they're dressed, regardless of how they carry themselves or whatever, I treat everybody the same. But it's like, for some reason, when it comes to me, a lot of people, women, females in particular, who, a lot of these women, as I look back over my past, from past, friendships, and just going to different schools and working at different jobs with different females, looking back over my life, I'm starting to see that there was always a pattern of, me interacting certain women that I guess that were just triggered by me, or that were intimidated by me, in the looks department, because I'm a shapely woman and different things like that. And so, people can be in secret competition with you and secretly be jealous of you, because they're not happy with themselves. But like I said, I think that we're all guilty of thinking at some point when we meet a person, if they're dressed this way, or they got this kind of purse, or drive this kind of car, they stay in this type of neighborhood, we have a habit of thinking, oh, they got it all together, oh, they're not going through nothing, or if they have been through something, they're not going through it now, they got it all together. And that's just not the case. And I think that we have all been guilty of doing it, and I really think that we need to just reprogram our minds to not believe that, because that's just not true. And so, like I stated before, the difference between me and most people that do that, I don't let the way a person is dressed, or I don't let their job title or where they live, I don't let that dictate how I treat them. Like, I treat everybody the same. A person that lives in some low income housing, I'm gonna treat them the same as I treat the branch manager at a bank. Like, I treat everybody the same. So it's like, in my eyes, because I fear God and because I'm a woman of God, I don't idolize people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that we are all human. I understand that we're all flawed, and I understand that we all fall short of the glory of God. And so, a lot of people, they idolize so many people. Like, with this celebrity worship and stuff, a lot of people, they idolize these celebrities. A lot of people, they idolize their pastors. They idolize their favorite YouTuber, these life coaches, relationship coaches, their pastors. They idolize their favorite politicians. And there is no one that I idolize. It may be someone who I like, or someone who, I admire, or respect their influence that they have, or their profession or whatever, but I don't idolize them. Like, I don't put anybody on a pedestal. I treat everybody the same, and I think that, more people should do that. And so, I'm saying that to say, because it's just so bothersome to me, knowing what I'm dealing with, and knowing the things that I'm going through, and how people treat me, because especially when I'm at work, and people have had a tendency to think that I'm an easy target, because I look a certain way, because I dress a certain way, because I'm not a part of the clique and the gossip, and I don't do the two-facedness and the phoniness and stuff. And I think that a lot of females think that, okay, well, who does she think she is, because she stayed to herself? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it is not even that I think that I'm better, because I don't. It's just, I just don't do I don't come to work to make friends. Like, I come to work to do a job. I don't go to work to bully people or to be in gossip or to put people down or anything like that. So I just treat, everybody the same, and it's just unfortunate that, small-minded people will let the way a person looks or the way that they dress or the way that they carry themselves. It's unfortunate that people take that and they run with it, and they let that dictate the way that they treat a person. And if their words don't say it, then their actions do. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know who is jealous of you or in secret competition with you, because a lot of times people are good at hiding it. But the thing about it is they can only hide it for so long, and how they really feel will eventually come to the light. Like, the mask will eventually slip and fall off, and you'll start to see, like, okay, I see what this is rooted in. This is rooted in jealousy, or this is rooted in insecurity. So, I want to say this: if you are struggling with any insecurities, because I have insecurities, I have a lot of insecurities. I'm not going to share them here, but I have a lot of insecurities. I have a lot of stressful factors in my life. I'm in a very challenging and difficult time in my life, to where I don't even know how the outcome is gonna play out. Like, I don't know. And if I just be very honest, I'm at a point in my life where I feel like, okay, I've been walking with God for 6 years now, strong. Like, the Holy Spirit's been my best friend, my mentor, my heavenly Father, my comforter, my idol. Like, and it's like, I just kind of feel like everything that I've been praying for and everything I've been believing in God for, I just feel like sometimes I feel like it's all in vain, and sometimes I feel like, everything that I've been praying about and believing in Him for and waiting on Him, for, it just feels like it's never gonna happen for me. Like, it feels like it's never gonna come into fruition. And I know that that's just the devil's way of making me feel like, the promises of God are never going to manifest in my life. And I know that that is a trick of the enemy, because God is a God where He cannot lie. And it says that all of God's promises are yes and amen. That's if you walking with Him, if you serving Him, if you living holy and righteous, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it to say that we don't tend to fall short, but I'm just saying, if you just really walking with God and trying to live a lifestyle pleasing unto Him, it's just certain things that we should not do or partake in, if we want to please God or whatever. And I'm just at a place in my life where I'm weary. If I just be honest, I'm tired, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I just feel tired. I feel drained. I honestly feel like I'm running on empty, and I also wanted to say before I get ready to go to work that, a lot of times I tend to put on clothes. And when I say put on clothes, I mean I tend to kind of, try to look nice or feel, I kind of tend to dress nice or whatever, especially when I'm going to work, because it's like, I don't know if you have ever suffered with depression, but it's like, and I don't suffer with it no more. I got delivered from that in 2020, so I no longer speak that over my life. But you can still feel depressed, or be in a depressing time or whatever. But I don't no longer associate myself with depression. But I wouldn't even get an enemy the satisfaction. But it's okay to feel down, or it's okay to feel depressed at times, as long as you don't stay there. But I'm saying that to say that I've always been a person to care about my outer appearance and the way that I dress and the way that I carry myself and stuff like that. And so by me overcoming depression and having had to deal with it for all of those years, I'm a person that I want to look good, you know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing when you are going through something like I am now, and it's heavy and it's very burdensome and worrisome and stressful. It's one thing to feel all of those emotions and to feel down and to feel defeated and feel discouraged and to look bad too on top of that. But it just makes you feel just a little bit better when you feeling down, you feeling defeated, you feeling discouraged, when you look nice on the outside or when you dress nice, it just make you feel a little bit better. Because to look down and to look bad or not to be put together and to feel down too, that just it makes you feel worse. Like, it makes you feel worse than if you don't, put on clothes or, keep yourself up or whatever. So I just wanted to share that, we got to stop being so judgmental and critical of people, because you never know what a person is going through. And the way a person is dressed, where they live, what kind of car they drive, that should not be the final factor of how you treat a person. We should all be treating people the way that we want to be treated. And the first commandment is to love God with your whole heart, and the second commandment is to love thy neighbor as thyself. And so if people really get back to those two commandments, I think that we would be better off. So I just wanted to hop on really quick and share that, because I haven't made a video in a while, because I just haven't felt up to it, and I just been dealing with this battle, and I've done all that I can do, and it's really not in my hands. Like, it's really not up to me. And so the hardest part is just being in it and actually feeling those, and I thought the camera cut off, and actually feeling those raw emotions, and just feeling like you stuck in this situation, you don't really know what to do, and just feeling like you don't know how you gonna get out of it. It's really not a good feeling. Like, it's a very hurtful feeling, especially when you trying to live a life pleasing to God, and you trying not to divulge in your old lifestyle and go back to doing the things that you used to partake in, because you don't want to displease God, and you trying to wait on him, and it's like a lot of times when you waiting on God, you will be waiting and waiting, and it feels like forever. And it's like, sometimes you feel lost, you feel confused, you feel like you in limbo, and you don't know what to do. And it's like all these different emotions, and you're afraid, you scared, you're feeling emotional, especially if you're a female. Our emotions a lot of times be all over the place anyway, but it's not an easy walk. It's not an easy walk, and this is a very trying time in my life. And so I just want to say, don't judge a book by its cover. That's a true statement. It's old, but it's a general rule of thumb. We shouldn't judge a book by its cover. We shouldn't judge a person or treat a person based off the way that they're dressed, based off if they're pretty or if they're handsome or if they got money or if they got a lot of followers or a large platform. Like, no, that's not how we should treat people, because the way a person is dressed, or the way that how much money is in their bank account, or where they live or whatever, at the end of the day, that doesn't mean anything. None of us are better than the next person, and it's like, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we all gonna stand before the same God. If you die today or tomorrow, everybody gonna go in a 6x6 grave, unless you gonna get cremated. You know what I'm saying? So people need to stop projecting their preconceived notions onto people and their insecurities. That's not right. It's not of God. And people need to treat people the way that they want to be treated, and treat people with with respect, because God is watching us. He is watching. He sits high and he looks low. And I know that a lot of people tend to lose sight on, hey, there is an all-knowing, all-powerful God that is watching everything that we do, and he is recording everything that we say and everything that we do. And at the end of the day, we're all going to stand before God, and we're going to give an account for the life that we lived on this earth. And it doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account. It doesn't matter what your job position is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We all will give an account. And you need to think about that, and you need to act like that one day you're going to have to give an account and stand before a holy God, and you're going to be judged. We all going to be judged. Shalom.